So the Fusion qualifiers are now over, and we're going to go over what happened. I don't know if I'm going to go over every single match, because do you guys realize how many matches there actually were? There were roughly as many matches in the last 2 days as there are in all of RLCS League play. I don't think anyone had time to see every single match. In fact, I'm pretty sure not all of them were streamed. So I'm just going to go over the big ones. I'm going to go over the winners. Then obviously maybe the teams that people care about a lot, you know, like G2, C9, all the maybe the ones who didn't make it that people still care about. So then I don't have to go over like 40 matches. I don't know how many exactly there were. There were a lot though. Whether or not we're also going to do Europe in this video, it just depends on how quickly I get through North America. But yep. Also, usually when I do a recap video, I play clips from the different matches that I'm talking about. But in this one, I'm probably just going to play one, maybe 2 clips, maybe one NA clip, one EU clip throughout, you know, NA and EU, because I go back and forth between matches. If I was like talking about this and switching over to that, I'd be switching every like 5 seconds. So I'm just gonna play one match because it would be just a lot less crazy, and I think it would just look a lot better than just having constant switching. So yeah. So as always, if you guys do enjoy, hit subscribe. We're at like 12k subscribers right now, which is awesome, and I don't know how far we're gonna go, but we'll see. Maybe one day we'll be at 1 billion. Here are the people who qualified for the main event. 72 PC, Stromboli, Rogue, Space Station, Divine, Affinity, Vision, and Team Envy. Now I'll start off by saying I'm not surprised Rogue made it at all. In fact, I think Rogue is a favorite to win the entire tournament. When Johnny Boy seeded everyone, I was surprised he had G2 over Rogue. Yeah, I understand that their 3v3 is probably better, but I think in terms of 2s and 1s, Rogue easily has the upper hand on G2. So yeah, I honestly thought Rogue would be number 1, but they were seeded number 2, and still for good reason. I mean, they played really well. And, you know, a lot of people might be thinking that 72 PC it was actually an upset that they won, but I don't think so at all. 72 PC, Lion Blaze is one of the best ones players in North America, hands down. And remember, they did make it to Spring Series, so they do have top 8 potential. So I wasn't surprised at all that they made it. That was team number 1. Then Stromboli. This is a team I was actually surprised about. I mean, Alpha Cap had the tournament of his life, okay? In the 1v1s scene, he just dominated. Look, 12-2 in this one. He beat NRG 8-3, or Garrett G for that matter. I mean, Alpha Cap was on fire. He just absolutely destroyed, and you're really gonna have to look out for him in the actual tournament, because that man's a beast. Then we go down to Rogue, and we all knew Rogue would make it. I mean, First Killer just obliterated people in the 1v1s. 10-5, 9-7. Well, this one actually went overtime, so he didn't obliterate people there, but at the same time, First Killer never lost the 1v1, so that says something. And I didn't expect him to. I still think he's the best 1v1 player in North America, so, but we'll see. There's a couple other players who are getting really good, up to First Killer's level. Yeah, but then the 2v2s with First Killer and Turanturo, I mean, those guys are just, I mean, they're insane. They actually did lose a 2v2 and a 3v3 to Envy and had to reverse sweep them, but they won the 2v2 against Plot Twist, and then the 2s against 3-Star Armada. I mean, Rogue did have some close matches, but at the same time, undefeated in 1s, won through the upper bracket. Doesn't matter if some of the matches were close, they still won. Then Space Station. This was a team that I thought definitely could make it, but wasn't sure. To be honest, I watched a little bit of SSG versus Team Meteor. Arsenal was pretty good at 1v1s throughout the entire thing. He did lose to Sharp, but in his other games he did very well, Arsenal. So, but yeah, Sipical, remember Sipical's one of probably the best 2s player in the world right now, in my opinion. He's just insane at 2s. Right, I mean, SSG didn't lose a single 2s match all game, or all series long. They didn't lose a single 3s match either, so they played really good. It was really just 1v1s where they had a little bit of trouble. They even tried having Sipical play some 1s at one point, but I mean, they couldn't. They're not a 1s team, but the fact that they do so well in 2s as well, that's what helps them. Then we get down to Divine. J-Russ had the tournament of his life for 1v1s. 10 goals to 1 against Memory, which Memory, I don't see him for his 1v1 game too much. J-Russ, he played insane. J-Russ versus Com. Remember, Com's a very good 1s player, and J-Russ beat him 5-6. And then J-Russ beat Com again 4-5. I mean, J-Russ was on fire this whole time. Now, I will admit, Divine never looked too great in the 3v3 department. They did win most of, I will admit, they did win most of their 3v3 matches, actually. The biggest win they had was 4-1 against Team Meteor, but a lot of close games. And again, it wasn't against any high-level teams. Once they went up against E United, an RLCS team, they couldn't win the 3v3, but they did good in others. So they lost the 3v3 twice. So Divine's biggest weakness is going to be the 3v3s, but I mean, their 1v1 game is looking strong right now, and they look fine in twos. So it's going to be interesting to see how they will play. And then here's a team that I really want to talk about, and it's Affinity. And we'll go over G2 as well. Affinity beat G2 in the lower bracket to qualify. G2 also lost a 72-pin connector, but 72-pin connector, honestly, I think has a better ones player than G2 does. So I'm not surprised that they won. All I got to talk about is Magic Bear. Magic Bear had... I think Magic Bear was probably MVP of the entire Fusion tournament, for at least for North America. I mean, look at Affinity versus Plot Twist, 14-3, 15-3. Magic Bear had easily the tournament of his life. He just destroyed in the 1v1 department. He beat Mile twice. Mile, a top 50 ones player on the ranked ladder right now. I mean, he just destroyed, laid down the fucking pipe on every team that he played. Even when they lost to Team Envy, they won the 1v1 that they played. Magic Bear did. So Magic Bear didn't lose a single 1v1, okay? Magic Bear just absolutely clapped people. So I think Affinity, I mean, they have a chance to win this tournament. They do. Well, or at least get top 4. I mean, they especially in the 1v1 department, I could see them going all the way. You know, maybe I can't see him taking on first killer, but second place, yeah, for sure. The way Magic Bear played, I can easily see it. Then we had Vision. Now, this is a team that I didn't expect to make it. I actually didn't. I don't know how to pronounce it. Kinsey, he played phenomenal in ones. And, I mean, they swept NRG. I mean, they just destroyed NRG. They all played so well, but honestly, NRG has no excuse. NRG played, like, just really bad. I'm sorry, the only person who scored a goal against Vision was Justin in the 1v1. I mean, getting swept in the 2s and 3s, I mean, that's unacceptable. I mean, obviously they didn't play well. You know, one thing that I saw a lot on like Twitter and stuff is people are calling for roster changes depending on performance in this tournament. I think that's stupid. People are on like a Reddit saying, well, NRG has to change their roster now because they lost a best of 1 3v3. Like, yeah, no. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. A lot of these pro players are just in the tournament for fun. Like, and that's just facts. 3v3 is where it's at. If you lose a 1v1, who cares? That will not hurt your standing on a certain roster at all. But yeah, NRG played well against like double tap, though. So NRG didn't play terrible, right? They beat Momentum Shifters, but then they got swept by Stromboli. You know, Garrett G is definitely not a ones main. I think ones was their weakest point because then they ended up switching out Garrett G for Justin, and you know, it still didn't go so well. But I mean, losing the 3s in a sweep and the 2s when NRG is the favorites in 3s and 2s, I mean, that's on them. I chalk it up to just NRG not playing very well in that match. You know, Vision should not have beat them, but they did. I mean, it is a best of 1. Lots of upsets can happen. Then we have Team Envy, and they knocked out Cloud9 in the losers round 4, losers semifinals. Or I'm sorry, losers finals. Squishy got destroyed in the 1v1 by Reddles. Alright, to be completely honest, I didn't know Reddles was that good at ones, but I guess he was. They also had Atomic play some 1v1s. He played against First Killer twice and lost, but I mean, First Killer is insane, so at 1v1, so what do you expect? They had Reddles play the 1v1 against Affinity, but he was up against Magic Bear, and Magic Bear honestly just never lost. They had Reddles go up against Chronic, but I actually thought that a Fall would be a team that has a chance of making it because Chronic is so good at 1v1s, but they didn't end up doing it. And now, before we end off on North America, the team that I have to talk about, Jamal Jabary. Okay, let's talk about Jamal Jabari. The greatest team to ever enter the Rocket League scene, Jamal Jabari. They beat Flight 3-1, alright? Spider, Toasty, and LJ with Drees as for their 1v1s. And then they let G2 sweep them because they didn't want G2 to feel too bad about getting perfect swept, you know? So, real good stuff from Jamal Jabari, you know, letting G2 have the glory, have the win. And then Jamal Jabari in the lower bracket let Cloud9 win so that Cloud9 wouldn't look bad against Jamal Jabari. Like, what a guy, what a team, what a great team. But no, in all seriousness though, the Jamal Jabari versus Cloud9 match was the funniest shit I've ever seen. I'll just say it right here. Jamal Jabari should have won 100%. They were up 5-0 in game 1, 3v3. They were up 5-0 against Cloud9 in threes, and Cloud9 scored like 3 goals in 30 seconds, and then 2 goals in another minute to tie it up, and then won in overtime. It was probably one of the biggest competitive comebacks I've ever seen. And of course it was against Jamal Jabary, but you know, they let Cloud9 come back, of course, because you know, they're Jamal Jabary. They just don't lose. And then they won the twos, which also shouldn't have happened because Drees disconnected and LJ was 1v2ing and LJ won the 1v2. Like, what? Against Torment and Gimmick? What? I'll be completely honest, I don't know what the hell Torment was doing in that match. When LJ 1v2'd them and scored on him, I was really looking at Torment, like, Torment, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, I was happy for Jamal Jabari to get a 1v2 in because I love seeing 1v2s, but at the same time, it should not have happened at all. It was like an overextending misplay. But at the end of the day, Cloud9 take the dub. You know, the 1v1 looked a lot better, Squishy versus Drees, and then they played threes again where they lost to C9. But, you know, that's basically all the North American teams that I wanted to talk about. How long have I been talking? For 14 minutes? Alright, I'm going to do Europe. I'm going to try to make Europe a lot quicker. So, Vitality, Oxygen Esports, Stormtroopers, Sandrock Gaming, Singularity, Dig, Solary, and Tree of a Kind. Now, I'll just say, I'm not surprised all of these teams made it. There's one team that I was surprised that made it, and it was Stormtroopers, and they played very well. So I want to go over Stormtroopers first, and then we'll go over the rest. So apparently Jack was the one who played their 1v1s, and apparently Jack actually played very well in his 1v1s. He beat Joriz, who... Joriz is one of the best ones players in the world right now, so apparently Jack, good for him to beat Joriz. And if you look at Flake's team, the randoms, I mean, Flake's team won a total of 1 match. And it was a 1v1 that was Ali versus Flakes, which I also didn't expect them to win because I think Ali is a better ones player than Flakes. But, you know, Flakes used to be extremely good, so I could see him winning. But, yeah, I mean, Flakes, his team, unfortunately, they did not play well at all. But Stormtroopers, man, these guys played well. I will admit, Stormtroopers did not win the 3v3s at all. Like, their 3v3 game was weak as shit. But their 2v2 and 1v1 game was strong as fuck. So... you know, but they also did win the 3v3 against Dignitas. The first one they lost, but then the second one was picked by Dignitas, and they won. So, I mean, Stormtroopers really popped off. Like, a lot of upsets when you thought that they might have been done, especially Dig. You know, I thought Dig had one of the most well-rounded lineups for threes and ones especially. However, Dig did end up qualifying at the end, in the end of the day, so... you know, I'm really not surprised about Dig. Vitality, I'm not surprised about Vitality at all. I mean, they only lost one total round, or one total match, and it was 2v2 against AMS and M7SN. I don't know, but that was the only match they lost, and it was really close. But yeah, Vitality looked super strong. Then I want to talk about Sandrock Gaming. I think that Sandrock Gaming is the favorites to win this whole thing for Europe. I mean, they're just so insane at all modes. You know, they had O'Khaled play all the 1v1s. O'Khaled, one of the best ones players in the world, and O'Khaled delivered. He won all of his ones. You know, their twos game looked very good. Their threes game also looked pretty good. I mean, I don't know. They did lose 2 3v3 games against Aeriality, but for the most part, they just look solid all around. So, gonna be fun to see them play. Oxygen Esports, now with Astral, and let me tell you guys, Astral had the tournament of his life. So I didn't see any of Oxygen's games actually because there's a lot of Rocket League to watch, but from what I've heard, Astral popped off. Astral played insane. Astral actually played very well in the 1v1 department. But yeah, so Oxygen's in, so remember Astral did join Oxygen. Then we have Team Singularity. And again, I'm not surprised on this team either. Scrubkilla's on this team. Scrubkilla, he played extremely well in the 1v1s, beating Archie and Veloce. Archie's very good as well. You know, I was kind of sad Veloce didn't make it. I did want to see more of Archie, but at the same time, I know there are a lot of Scrubkilla fans. A lot of people will be happy to see Team Singularity play. Now, they did lose the 3v3 to Veloce, but they did smack FC Barcelona. And let me tell you, Scrubkilla smacked Ranaki in 1v1s. FC Barcelona didn't really have a ones player, so that really hurt them. But at the same time, Scrubkilla is probably the GOAT of 1v1s, so he's expected to win most of his 1v1 matches, except I'd say like O'Khaled will probably beat him, Fairy Peak might. There's still a few people that I would say could beat Scrubkilla. Now, Scrubkilla isn't at the top of his game like he used to be. There's a difference between being the GOAT at something and then being the best currently. But so yeah, Singularity made it. I went over Dignitas. Tree of a Kind. This is one of those teams that I'm not surprised who made it because EXO is an insane ones player. I mean, they're nuts. Absolutely crazy. And I do have to admit, Trivakine did have a bit of an easier lower bracket run. If you look at who they had to play, Momentum Shifters, Celestial, Nameless. So, you know, they didn't have any big names to go up against. I will admit, I'll be the first to say, you know, they did have a bit of an easier lower bracket run, but they also, their one loss was to Oxygen Esports, which again, Astral had the tournament of his life from what I've heard. No shame in losing to that one. But then they also got a DQ against Momentum Shifters because Momentum Shifters actually beat them. And then they got a DQ because one of the players on Momentum Shifters, if you don't know, was actually playing with another player that wasn't signed up. I guess, I don't know what happened. I think one player couldn't play, so they just gave his account to someone else. So then there was a DQ there, even though Momentum Shifters would have won. So Trivakine, I guess you'd say, got pretty lucky. Not only did they have an easier lower bracket run, but they also got a DQ in one of the matches that they would have lost. So, but at the same time, their 1v1 game is very strong. You know, I wouldn't say it's a super big fluke. Like, I'm not like super surprised that they made it. Well, I guess I am surprised because there was a DQ, but at the same time, you know, Trivakine's pretty good. So, and then we have Solary, and I gotta say, Exotic had one of the tournaments of his life as well. Like, a lot of these 1v1 players are really stepping up. Exotic had a 29-6 game versus John McDonald's Happy Meal. 29-6. Now, for those of you who don't really know what happened, Breezy rage quit, like, halfway through the game, and then Exotic decided to just keep scoring a bunch of kickoff goals in a row and racked up to like 29. It was originally, I think, 11-5 when Breezy left. So, I mean, the game was basically over. You know, a 6-goal lead in 1v1s, that's where it gets to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, it's hard to come back. 5 or 6 goals up in ones. But yeah, man, Solary played insane. I always talk about that the player to look out for on Solary is Melo Shisu because his 3v3 game is insane, but I mean, I'll be honest, Solary didn't have the best 3v3 showing. They lost the 3s to Endpoint, to Magnifico. They won against John McDonald's, but then they lost against BDS. So, you know, they didn't play too well in the 3s department, actually. It was their other areas that really shined. Their 2s and 1s especially. So, when it comes to Solary, I'd be looking out for their 2v2 and 1v1 game, especially. And Exotic, man. Exotic lights out in 1v1s. Definitely look out for him. And then there's going to be, I think, is there any teams that I didn't mention that people might want me to go over? I think I covered them all. Veloce, Team BDS maybe. Team BDS lost to Vitality in the upper bracket, and then they lost to Dignitas. So Team BDS had a bit of a harder run, to say the least. Oh yeah, and then some people might be wondering about Mouse Sports. Mouse Sports, they did not play well at all. Alright, remember, Mouse Sports played with Arju. Now, I will admit, Mouse Sports did pretty good in the 1v1 department for the games that they did play. They had Speed play the 1s, but to be honest, the 1v1, that's the only games that they won. They didn't win a single 3v3, a single 2v2. They just won all their 1s, and that's why they have 3 total wins. But yeah, that's basically everything that happened in the qualifiers, for those of you who are wondering. So yep, that's basically been everything. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.